Hello and welcome. Today we're cooking Mexican style picadillo. To the pan I've already added my olive oil, that's what I have. This is some ground lean beef. It's called kimchi here in the Philippines because it comes from the leg of the cow. And we'll switch over to French. We'll talk about messe plat, which is mice in place in French. So we've already diced our vegetables. We got patatas, or potatoes. Underneath that we got carrots. So the carrots are diced about a quarter, potatoes are about 3/8. Then we have our aromatics of onion, garlic. Onion's a little bit bigger than garlic because we don't want to burn our garlic. Seasonings for this are going to be comino or cumin, chili powder, black pepper, paprika, and we have sea salt here. You can use iodized salt, we just have sea salt. I prefer that a little bit better. We also have some bell peppers. These look like Anaheims if you're from America, but these are bell peppers in the Philippines. These are actually humongous for Filipino bell peppers. Then we got some tomatoes. And we're also going to add some tomato sauce. And that's really about all there is to it. So the first step is to brown your hamburger meat and get it about 3/4 of the way cooked, and then we'll add our seasonings. I do not measure any of my seasonings. If you wanted, I can make some guesses, but I don't really measure. I just kind of put in whatever feels right. So this is, I know, about 750 grams of ground beef. Other than that, I have no actual measurements that I use. It's just, hey, put about this much in. So I won't pause the video. I'll come back when I move into the next phase. That'll be after ground beef cooks. That's about 8 to 10 minutes. We want to get some of the Maillard action or some of that searing from the pan. So right now we're starting on low. I cook with propane here because that's what we have available in the Philippines. I'm going to kick it up a little bit so I can get that meat a little bit hotter. I didn't want to start off too hot or else that olive oil tends to burn and smoke. So we'll pause it now and then I'll come back when I actually start adding more ingredients. Alright, so I forgot to mention one ingredient. I did use a little bit of garlic powder. So our meat's almost there. We're probably about 3/4 of the way on the meat. I've moved it over to another burner where I have a little bit higher heat. Unfortunately here, when using these propane stoves, it's hard to get the perfect temperature, so you might have to move from burner to burner. Hopefully you don't have to deal with that where you are. Next thing we're going to put in here, and of course I don't have a camera stand or a camera person, is going to be our onions. We're going to put those in a couple minutes before we put in our garlic, because we want our onions to caramelize a little bit and get almost translucent before we put in our garlic, because if we cook the garlic too long, it burns. You know your garlic is done when you can start smelling that strong aroma of garlic. If you go beyond that point, you've burnt your garlic and you've added a bitter element to your otherwise delicious dish. If you like it that way, hey, that's cool. I do not. That's not the right way to do it, so I won't do it. But you can if that's what you prefer. A lot of people here do like to cook their garlic a little bit further. It's just not the way I was taught to cook it, and it's not my preference. You ask any chef, I'm not a chef, I'm just a guy who cooks, and they're going to tell you don't cook the garlic past that strong aroma coming off, because it's part of the allium family, as is the onion. And once you get that nice aroma, you're going to get the full essence of the garlic in your flavor, and that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for that funky burnt flavor. So I'm going to pause it again. I'm going to get my onion in there, get that done, and then I'll add in my garlic. And once the garlic's done, we'll start adding in our other veggies and the remainder of our seasoning. So far we've put in probably about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I used the fine ground black pepper on this one. And probably half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon of that sea salt. We're getting a nice sound here. That's that Maillard action going on. So we're going to get a slight sear on our beef. add in our onions, our garlic, and our other seasonings, and I'll be back. We don't want to burn them seasonings, so they go in after the garlic. Alright, so we've got our garlic in there. Garlic is cooked up. We got that nice strong smell coming on. And our onions are ready. We added our paprika, cumin, and chili powder. I also added about another quarter teaspoon of black pepper, half teaspoon of sea salt to it. And because we're working with very lean beef, I had to add a little bit more oil because we don't want it to stick to the pan, but we do want to get that nice sear on that meat. So next step up is our lovely bell pepper. Don't mind Mr. Fly there. And I'll dice up these tomatoes. These are actually beefsteak tomatoes, Philippine equivalent. All the produce here is small for some reason. It's really weird. I think it's just older seed because it's a wonderful environment to garden. So we'll get our bell peppers in, we'll get our tomatoes in, we'll add in our tomato sauce, and then we're going to add in about the same amount of water as we put in sauce so that we can get a little bit of a steam action for our veggies, because our potatoes and our carrots are going to take a little bit of steam to cook. They're also going to absorb that salt. We cut our carrots on purpose a little bit smaller just because they're a harder vegetable. It's going to take them a little bit longer to cook, so you cut them a little smaller than your potatoes, and that way you get a nice firm texture but not hard, and everything cooks up nice and equally. So we'll go ahead and get on to the next steps. I'll come back once I get the bell peppers, tomatoes, tomato sauce into the pan. So we'll just pause it for now, but this is where we're at. Nice brown beef with onion and garlic. Alright, so we're back. We've added in our bell peppers, our tomatoes. I put in our tomato sauce. Probably the best product we have available to us over here without paying a fortune this year. It's 200 grams. I probably put around 300 grams of water in there as well. We're going to let it simmer for a little bit. Kind of cook those tomatoes again to render some of their juices, and also by cooking tomatoes you transfer some of that acidic flavor over to more of a sweet type flavor, so you get a little caramelization, makes them taste way better. We're in the Philippines, it's hot as shit, so we got some Red Horse here. This kitchen probably runs 37, 38 degrees centigrade when you're working in it, so it is just unbearable. We always got the fan running. It doesn't do any good around the stove. At some point we'll add in an exhaust fan up here, and that might improve it a little bit, but you're in the Philippines. It's a dirty kitchen. They're not built to Western type ways of doing things because frankly Filipino people are just super tough and the heat doesn't seem to bother them. So we got to do what we got to do. When you're here, you learn to live like them, and that's just the way it is. There ain't nothing you can do about it. There ain't no sense in complaining because, well, what good's it gonna do you? Besides, I don't speak Tagalog or Ilocano very well, so even if I did bitch and moan about it, nobody here would understand what I'm saying. They just say, hey, look at that crazy white guy over there ranting and raving about who knows what. So we'll go ahead and let that simmer for a little bit, probably 10-15 minutes of a decent simmer. We're just getting there right now. And we'll come back, we'll add our potatoes, carrots, put the lid on there, let it steam, get those carrots and carrots and potatoes soften up, and then we'll taste it. We'll check it for seasoning, if it needs a little salt, pepper, cumin, whatever. Most likely I'll add a little bit more salt and pepper just because that's how I like it. And then we should be good to go. I got some little corn tortillas that we picked up off of Lazada. Nice little tortillas. They're a little bit dry compared to the Mexican style back in the States, but they're pretty good. We'll serve that alongside. And of course, we're in the Philippines. We definitely have a pot of rice. So all my Filipino friends out there, don't panic. We'll serve rice with it. You're not going to starve to death. Alright, we'll be back in just a little bit once that simmers some. Alright, we're back. It's been about 10-12 minutes. We got a little simmer. You can kind of see that tomato sauce. It goes from that bright red color to a little bit more brown. So kind of like, if you're from America, it kind of takes on that same color as American chili. Not Texas red, but American chili. Y'all Texans are wrong. Beans do belong in chili. So now we've let it simmer about 10 minutes. We're going to add in our potatoes and carrots. Those are pretty equal proportions. An optional item you could add in here is corn, which is delicious. It gives it a little sweetness. I'll probably add that into mine. It's optional. You can use corn on the cob if you can get it. It's not currently in season here, so it's not available. You'll hear that term a lot in the Philippines, not available. You could also use frozen corn, which not really a thing here. It's great if you can use it, but we don't really have that available to us. So I'm going to add in a can of sweet corn to mine, so canned corn, so I can get the flavor. It's not quite the same texture, but you get that nice flavor of the corn, some little sweetness. You gotta read your labels closely here to make sure you're not adding a bunch of sugar to your food. As we know, sugar's not real good for you. So I carefully searched through all the corn at the available store that I can go to. I found out that Polar Bear brand, of all things, has no sugar added. It's just corn, salt, and water. So that's what we're going to be adding to this. I'll go ahead and add that. We'll pop the lid on here. We'll let it simmer about 15-20 minutes, and then it will be done. So we'll call them children. We'll get them down here to eat, and well, hopefully it tastes good. I haven't tasted it to this point, so we don't know, but it looks pretty good. It's colorful. We do eat with our eyes after all. So I'll be back shortly. We'll add the corn, and we'll let it simmer, and we'll see how it finishes. Just a quickie. We don't waste anything here. These are my vegetable skins, stuff like that. I just heard B-Boy bring my goats back for the day, and I'm sure they would appreciate this. So why throw it away? You got this wonderful goat food or compost, or I have rabbits too. Sometimes they like this stuff. So I'm gonna walk out there while my pot's over there simmering and hook my goats up with a tasty treat, because you know, goats are awesome. We'll be back. Alright, we simmered about 10-15 minutes. We're still kind of hard on the carrots. I did give it a quick taste. It needs a little salt and pepper. Like any other recipe in the world, adjust your salt and pepper to taste. So I went outside. B-Boy made it home. Wouldn't you know, he's out there playing with his cocks. And so I had to help him get his cock back in his cage before they really went at it. So roosters, obviously, not actual cocks. Hindi bakla ako. So we got the roosters back in their pens. Goats are in their house. Cow's back in her place. We're going to throw a little salt and pepper on here, let it simmer a little bit longer, get those carrots to soften up about 10-15% more than they are currently. I'm going to grab another Red Horse because I'm out of Red Horse. Not a little bit thirsty. I do got the hiccups though, so we got to hurry up and finish this pot so I can eat. Alright, we'll be back. Alright, time for the reveal. It is done. So we get our spoon here. Let's go ahead and give her. We did add a little bit more cumin, salt, pepper, Make sure you get a spoonful with all the yummy ingredients on there. Let it cool down. It's hot. Naimasu. Masarapo. If y'all are watching this, give this here a try. It's delicious. Explore a little bit of the Mexican cuisine. All these ingredients are available in the Philippines, so it's awesome.